Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I'm a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on July 3rd, 2023 at approximately 4:25 p.m. PST. Now, I returned to this world for one primary purpose, and that is to remind people that working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. In addition to that, I build myself as a spiritual guide because the tools I offer are the same tools I use in my own day-to-day life. And the philosophies of life I talk about are the same tools that I personally live my life by. With this in mind, before I get any further here, we have already in the house, we have eternity in the house with the gold. Nathan with the Quantum Show has come in with the silver. And scrolling down here just a little, we have Emmy Tonga shows up with the bronze. And then we have, let's just go to the bottom here. And Cowie Snyder, my apologies for the pronunciation glitch, is in with honorable mention. Now, here's the thing. I mentioned that with the title, I said, let's take control of your life now. Because we work together, we can turn the tide of the way this world is going. Hey, Nathan, and I got to find something here. Where is the one I'm looking for? Video info. There we go. And as per usual in my world anyway. Okay, we copy this and we drop this. This is the link to Nathan's show. Absolutely drop in when you get the chance. Give him a listen. If you like what he has to say, do give him a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Okay. And then do. Yeah, we got a new song coming out here. Do everyone a favor, if you will, and share the daylights out of his show. Okay, I managed to finally get on the show the other day, which I was really happy about, but unfortunately decided my blood pressure was going to do all sorts of real neat things. Now, I will point out something here. I've got a whole pile of boxes that are now in the room. Okay. But these boxes, this whole stack here, is literally empty boxes being used to dispose of junk, either from the lobby that I go and pull the stuff out of, or it's going because of my own stuff going out the window. Joe, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Things got a little screwy today. I had to go to the downtown core, and boy, did that play havoc with my stress. It took me afterwards. After the show there, Nathan, it took me about a half an hour to get my blood pressure back to normal. What spiked it? I don't know. You should have tried it from my end. No, don't. Do it and do yourself a favor. Do not have blood pressure problems. Come to think of it, I forgot to do something today. Did I? No, I did it this morning. Because I have gone back on my hawthorn berry to keep the heart running properly. But I came up with a real neat idea here. No, that's wrong. Can't see where it is. I'm in the way. Okay. Now, came up with a real brilliant idea, and I'm building it right off of your suggestion there. And I do believe it was you, Nathan. I've got the poster up on the one that I've got out now that I'll be sending out east, out to the prairies, rather. I've got it up there, but something dawned on me. Okay, literally today as I was putting it up. If you take a look at the back of the books, okay, let's try not to hurt ourselves, shall we? If you take a look at the back of the Yldrbac Chronicles, I'm going to be building this on that wall behind me. We take a look at the back of the Birth of the Wolf Pack. That's the birth of the wolf pack. We take a look at the back. This picture, I'm going to get blown up. Okay, I'm going to get a full 8.5 by 11 sheet to put on that wall. Okay, now that one happens to be 16 by 19. Okay, but when you take a look at the birth of the wolf pack, and then we take a look at the end of an epoch, flip it over, we put the two together. What? That's wrong. We put the two together, and I'm going to build that whole picture, the whole back of all 12 books together, will eventually end up on that wall. Now, I made a breakthrough today when I was when I was doing the writing that I could get to. And I got the hard copy transferred over onto the Return to Paradise. I've been really stonewalled there for a little while. So, now how does all of this work with you guys? Well, this is simple. When I said let's get your life back, moving in the right direction, because the reality is you all have a project that you have in mind that you weren't doing. That you put on hold. Maybe life got in the way. Maybe other things ended up taking priority. But I would lay odds that virtually every one of you has a goal that you've put on hold. Okay, so what we're going to do here is start looking at those little goals. That's going to be really fun to watch it evolve. One of the things I do want to talk to you about, we didn't get a chance to, Nathan, because my system went completely sideways, is another little project you may find really, really interesting. Like you, I'm not overly interested in whether people make millions. I am not a technological individual. But do I want to make sure that it gets done right? I figured I woke up one day with a schematic in my head. Oh, okay. Nathan goes, we have a laundry list of things to go over. As long as I'm in the house, and I've been up since 3:30 this morning. It's like I sleep a long time, right? As long as I'm in the office and not actually live on air, or wait a minute, what is today? Today is today Monday or Tuesday. Today must be Monday. Gives you an idea how my day goes, doesn't it? Call up my calendar there, and yeah, we are on Monday. Okay, good. So, as long as I'm not actually on a stream or on somebody else's show, I'm usually quite open to talking, because I end up working in the office way too much on occasion. But that's how I get things done. That'd be the theory. Anyway, we get your task going on. Now, I was talking to somebody the other day that wants to do some artwork, but the reality is I'm a picky individual. Okay, and if I don't find exactly what I'm looking for, it doesn't matter to me who the person is. They can be as close to me as they choose to be. If I don't like their work, I'm not working with it. This being said, Nathan, I know you've got a heck of a head on your shoulders where it comes to electronics, and there's an interesting little I'll call it a gizmo, because I have no idea how to build it. I know what it works like. And here's a really cute one for you. I know you work with magnets. Just something to think about when you're on your off time. I am looking for little itty bitty magnets. 37.4 microgauss is what I've been told I require. The magnetic field generated by the human body. I require 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I require 6 small magnets, 37.4 microgauss. Now, here's why. I'm in the process of building, and this is actually listed. Haven't gone through it yet. I've got to, because I know I've got to go back through that. Today was scrambled. That's actually one of the first things on my list when I get off. Joe was just asking if I went through the comment section. I ended up crashing last night. Things went sideways, and I ended up until 1 o'clock, and then back up at 3:30 this morning. But this is why I've got this neat little list here. And where, pray tell, is my pen? Right there. Okay. Now, what I've done for right after I get off shift here, Joe, is, that I've got it listed to go into the YouTube comments and make absolutely certain I get to them, because if you left a message in there, I will get back to you tonight on it. I've literally got written down here, and this is for right after I get done the stream today, to go into YouTube and check for Joe Stewart. Plus I will obviously respond to the other comments that are in there. Because, Derek was pretty black and white that I've really got to start pushing that response time. Now, what do we got? Yeah, I don't know. I'm still working on the mechanics for that one. Kind of figured it wouldn't be found on Amazon. But I figured it'd be something that might catch your attention, as far as the magnets go. What I'm looking at building is an old Egyptian little thing called a Mercacan Amplanet. And I do have that described in the second printing of the Races of the Worlds. And by the way, you guys were asking, some of you were asking how that little project is going. It's coming. Okay, I've got one more color to put up top and then to seal the thing, but it's coming along nicely. Again, it really boils down to how do we... That is correct there, Nathan. I was told literally, I actually talked to a scientist about it some time ago, and I asked him what was the magnetic field that the human body generates. He never even blinked. He goes 37.4 microgauss. I'm like, okay, perfect. So that's what I'm looking for, and it's something that when I build it, I will not be releasing it to the public until I've thoroughly tested it, quite frankly, on yours truly. If I'm going to scramble somebody's mind, it'll be mine. It's already shot anyway. But we take a look at your little projects. Now, I love some of the stuff you guys I catch going through in the chat room, because you guys are an absolute gem where it comes to supporting each other. And this is the whole thing about turning this world. Now, these boxes, like I said, this whole stack here, that's all completely empty. But I got no place else to put it for the moment. So, what I'm looking at here is take a look at your life. Are you content with the way it is? I'm not. And like I told my other half just today, I'm not content with the way my life is going. So it's time to get off my tail feathers and make it happen. Well, I took the hard copy for Return to Paradise that I've been working on. It is now transferred to soft copy. So I check YouTube out. I have to check. And this is just this will give you an idea how quick things add up. What I'm doing is I got that neat little pad of paper here to make sure I get things done. But where it comes to you guys, who out here has a project you've been putting on hold? Now, that speeder bike, I love the idea of the speeder bike. I wonder if you're going to make it as just a little model, or, hey, now there's a brilliant idea. You work with models all the time. Yeah, we'll just add that to the laundry list. I'm still having fun trying to work with just the little figures and a little bit of painting. Yeah, no doubt. Well, getting a big one is going to be problematic. I'm pretty certain of it. But even having just a little RC speeder bike would be phenomenal. Curiosity, Nathan. Do you do vehicular rebuilds? As in, like the best way I can tell you is Mattel used to put out models. Model vehicles. Okay, do you work with them or just with the actual figurines? See, if I find things that you guys, yeah, well, yeah, well, take a run on oh, I only deal with picky. That's half the thing that slows me down on occasion. And I lucked out, absolutely lucked out where it came to finding an editor. Because I'll tell you, for being blind, she is as picky as they come, to the point that if I've got a space in a scene change, now scene change, for those of you that don't know, when you're writing a story and you do a scene change, you leave one blank line. Okay, she'll spot an extra space, not as in an extra return, but just a space that's been hit. She'll find that in the scene change. You know, but no, I've got a couple of vehicles I would love to have built. The odds of my being able to build them, not good. I mean, you think about it. I'm amazed I get any of the painting actually done properly. But got that all sorted down. Then I have to have, what is this? Yeah, I'm sitting here, and it's funny. Here's a neat little idea for you guys. Like I said, I'm building an empire. That's just the way that is. Now, I call it an empire because I intend on going global. And as was pointed out to me by one person, I'm already global. Yeah. Yeah, Joe's going. Tonight is fireworks at 10 p.m. Eastern time, my time, at the high school. I have no problem with that. I just listen at home. What I do have a problem with is if people go in the cemetery and do that. I agree with you wholeheartedly there. Considering some of the images that I've got running through my head, and you'll love this one. Okay, one of the side stories taking place with the Yldrbac Chronicles is a trip into a space research station. That'll be a standalone short story. Well, short story or novel. I don't know what length it'll be yet. It'll come down the road, way down the road. But yeah, empires need ways of getting around. You know, so we are moving in that direction. But I will tell you, if you guys have a skill that you think may be compatible, I'm quite willing to take as many people on an upward ride as I can, on an upward trip as I can. It's just that simple. I'm a firm believer. They say it's lonely at the top. What's the cure for being lonely at the top? Okay, take the people with you. Okay, it also adds that other little bonus where we're told don't forget where you came from. Well, if you bring the people with you that you come with, that you were there at the beginning, okay, then all of a sudden, remembering where you came from is easy. My case, it's a case of forgetting where I came from that can be a challenge. But that's a whole different issue. What do we got here? Got to work on that. Yeah, I should be up a fair chunk tonight. I don't think I've got any extra shows that are running on. Oh, speaking of which, this is just because of the fact that that's where it all started. Where it really started to get pushed. This is the link to Dave's show. Now I don't actually get onto it very much at night, and but this doesn't stop me from saying, hey, this is where a lot of it started. And as you guys know, many of you connected with me through Spaced Out to start with. That's just the way my life goes on occasion. Those are there. I gotta get this sorted around. It's not like I don't have enough to do, so I gotta get things organized and get more things on the go. Just because, well, what the heck. But if you guys have an idea what I'm doing, okay, and here's the neat part about it. One of the problems I ran into myself, okay, is you hear about people taking and this is why I gotta go through the finances. You hear about people taking, buying, you pay an artist to do your work. Okay. The artist does the work, you pay them properly, they do a good job, and then they don't do a thing, and then they never see another nickel. Okay. One of the things I'm working through the finances tonight on is going to be finding out what kind of book supply I've gone through so I can move back a couple of royalty checks. And they're not royalty as in, gee, I've signed a contract, I'm told I have to pay it. Okay. This is simply a case of, I'm a firm believer, if somebody's done the artwork and I've got a ratio worked out for the artwork for the books, I've got a ratio worked out in my head at least, and I've got to do it on paper. I will be putting together a poetic anthology. But like I mentioned, there is no way that I'm going to be getting people to pay, $100, $75 a poem. Okay. Because the reality is, when I go to put the poems together, the only two things I know I'm going to have to do, and I still have to get the paperwork together with a lawyer. I won't be phoning them tonight. This is Canada Day. Every day, everybody's closed. But I got to get a hold of one of them to make certain that they write it up. So if somebody wants to submit a poem, that I can give you a form that you fill out that states this is who you are and this is your original work. Okay. Once that's done, there will be a little bit of a fee involved, but it won't be anywhere near 75. Okay. I'm pretty certain what I'm going to be looking at. But the reality of it is, it's going to be a question of making certain that it gets done properly. But this is just one of those neat little things. But many of you, like, for instance, Nathan has this speeder bike that he wants to build. Never mind wants to build, that said, absolutely wrong. Nathan's got a speeder bike he desires to build. Okay. Will I, with the understanding I have of some of the advanced mathematics, I'm not trained in this world. Okay. My knowledge comes from a whole different ballgame. But I will gladly share that with him, on the one condition that he doesn't call me a liar. And let's face it, the odds of that are pretty limited. What do we got? Joe. Yeah. Joe goes, yeah, unless you're in a cemetery at dark visiting a grave. If you're up to no good, bad idea. See, I'm a firm believer that and no, we won't say that. I agree wholeheartedly with you there, Joe. If you're in visiting a relative or a friend of yours, and I have recommended people do this, if you're striving to get a hold of a loved one, even if they're not in that cemetery, going into a cemetery to talk to a loved one, even one that's not buried there, is an easier way of getting a hold of them because the energy is already geared for it. But if you're just doing something that is respectful, that is of an honorable nature, and this literally translates into non-vandalistic. How you doing, football? Glad you could join us. I absolutely agree. Vandalizing anything doesn't work for me. I'm just a firm believer that there's a whole different way of doing things that people should have there. But this is one of those things. That's why this is one of the reasons why I ask what your guys' goals are. Because I am going to be looking into, as suggested, I will be doing shorter videos. Found the old program, and now I just have to test it out tonight. I would have been doing it today, I would have been doing them today, but of course, had to go downtown. I'll tell you, that ruins my entire energy levels because my stress levels go off the chart. Now, what do I got here? Let's get that back out of the way. Trying to avoid hurting myself here. I think avoiding hurting myself is a good thing. I'm going to fall down here if I'm not careful. And that's always a bad idea. But no, if the nice part about it is as I get to figure out what you guys are up to. Actually, why don't we do that? I go into here, and let's go in there. Here we are. Oh, okay, Joe. I'm looking at I'm looking at the question you left. Okay, and what is today? This is Monday, so we're here already. Tuesday's occupied. Let's see. Tuesday's occupied. Today's Monday. Tuesday's already occupied. Wednesday's not occupied. I'm occupied after the show. So, Joe, you've left in the notes here to go with the next show topic. Where if you or your family live in a house in the middle of a cemetery, how to cope with it. Which is and let's face it, for me personally, I live in an apartment that I swear half the people are brain dead, but I don't think that qualifies. Okay, so that particular little question I will be looking at on Wednesday because tomorrow's already booked. So, just to clarify, like I said, Joe, you come up with some phenomenal ideas. And let's put that so you can actually see who's talking to you instead of looking at my. Well, that was different. We had a glitch. Are we still here? We are. Okay. Anyway. On Wednesday, we are going to take a talk about living in a cemetery and how to cope. And rest assured, living in a cemetery is not as bad as you might think. But I've got that now booked in for Wednesday, so we will deal with that there. Now, going in here, I will be answering these afterwards. Okay, I will be going back in and going through them in detail. I don't want to be spending a lot of time, but I did want to get to your question. Because quite frankly, you do come up with phenomenal ideas. Oh, from what now, Emmy? I'd have to ask whereabouts you are. Like what? You're down in Texas, aren't you? I'm gonna have to start making note of when I actually ship them out. But from what I gather, it is to get to Texas from Kelowna is 8 to 10 business days for just a standard letter. Yeah, I still swear they should go back to the Pony Express. Okay, Portland, Oregon. It should be. From what I was told, they give a real wide range of 7 to 10 business days. Now, what I don't recall is specifically when I sent it. Okay, and for me, I know I sent it shortly after you first asked for it, but what I don't know is exactly when. And frankly, I don't know how long it is between one day and the next, but it should be arriving any time. Matter of fact, in all fairness, it should have arrived. which annoys me to a lot in a lot of ways. But where are we here? Oh, I don't have that. One thing I can do right off the bat there, Emmy, if you can drop me your email, I will ship you a copy of it anyway. Again, and I've got a couple of people that actually get it sent both ways. I know I got, like I've said, they're all airborne. I don't have any that aren't sent out that were asked for in a solid form. But trying to trust the mail service is a real wonderful challenge. The nice part about it, from my standpoint, I'm going to end up working out glitches because of the fact that the system is quite frankly, in my opinion, broken in a lot of ways. And this is one of the things I've got to deal with and sort of turn around, if you will. How you doing, Chad? Glad you could join us. And where is Chad here? There. And this, guys, is the link to Chad's not there. This is the link to Chad's archives. If you want to drop in this way, when he does get around to going back to posting, then you've got access to that right off the bat. Now, I'm just thinking of Bigfoot and Dogman been seen actually having a party together. That would be interesting. Thank you very much. I appreciate that, Chad. That will be being changed. It dawned on me after that got put up, or after you suggested that I'm going to have, there's a whole collage that's got to be put together as the books come out. I love the reality of some of the cryptids that are out there. I don't know a lot about the cryptids, or more to the point, I don't know what people are calling cryptids. Many of what people call cryptids, I'm absolutely certain are some of the ancient races that just have popped up. Now, and of course, I'm going to pull a blank on that. I love when I pull a blank on where I was going with things. But when we take a look at where your world is, okay, take whatever project, whatever goal you have that you've got to get sorted out. Like these boxes, for instance. As I said, I was going to get the poster up right away. Okay, the boxes will be gone tonight. I'll figure out where they're going. I keep them because I use them for getting rid of excess stuff that gets dropped in the lobby. And the same thing applies. Like for me, this whole row up here, those are all, everything up here are those are Lord of the Rings figures. Many of them are never even been brought out of their box. But that's why I've got a collector's edition of the Hobbit and of the Lord of the Rings. Simply because that's the way that, and those are the things that I was inspired by. I do watch what some of the videos that are coming out with, and especially with the people in this chat room. Okay, some of you guys have some phenomenal ideas. Now I just have to figure out how to make it all work. That doesn't help me much. But one of the big things I'm looking at is, as I expand things, I'm going to be going into, I'm going back into the consulting, okay, and opening the door for that. The books obviously are coming along. Okay, and the reality is, if you guys have any goal that you've got, there's a way of tying it in so that we can actually make it a going concern. You know, I'm not, and for me, it's not a question of let's become a billionaire so that we can have billions and billions of dollars. I mean, if you think about it, where is my brain box? Let's just take a look at 1 billion. Well, if I'm making $1 billion a month or more to the point when I get to that point, 800 million of that is going back out to the community. I've already got the ratio set out. You know, that for me, that's just the way you do things, because people are not, there's no saying that goes, no man or woman is an island unto themselves. And the reality is, if you guys have projects or you've got something you're trying to gain away, that you're trying to get people to pay attention to, providing, especially where the newsletter is concerned, I won't be posting who shot who murdered who ripped who off, or for that matter, sorry to say, guys, I won't be bothering with posting what team won what score. Okay, sorry, there's enough other outlets out there, they can deal with that. But will I be paying attention to what's going on and expanding the newsletter? Yeah. I think, Joe, what I gathered from Dave the other day on Space Out, I think the problem there is so many people are paying primary attention off planet. Let's look elsewhere for the solutions. They're not looking. And people have been taught around the world to look at somebody else and blame somebody else for the lack of their own progress. What I'm looking at is I'm looking at helping people refocus on their own progress. Now, yes, I do talk a fair chunk about how I'm doing it, but the reality is this. In my opinion, if I can say, here's the tool I'm using, here is the way things are happening, okay, and this tool works for me, maybe it will inspire somebody out there to pick up the tool and change their life for the better. Because I know mine is certainly better than what it was. Okay, and it's constantly getting better. My problem is I have trouble dealing with being out of the house. And I'm telling you, remaining a recluse is not a real good move where it comes to social availability. Doesn't work well. But most people on the whole, people are not willing to look in the mirror at themselves. I probably do, come to think of it. Let me just double check, because I'm in that already. Let us see if we go compose, and we'll see if we've got you right there. Let's scroll down and see what we find. I've got to go through this and remove some of the addresses I've got here, because I've got addresses in here that I don't even talk to the people and won't talk to the people. Where are we? Those are these. Well, that is annoying. Am I in the wrong field? Okay, don't have it in there, but and that is just not good. I should have it, but it's quite. Oh, wait a minute. Let's move over on to the other one because it's not in there. Let us take a look at email, because that's where it would have been moved to. Oh, client CL. Oh, that's our Keith. Tell you, my brain is just on hold on occasion. So if we go down here to client, that should be where it is. And in here we go. There we are. Ah, that's why. Emmy, your email, the reason I don't have it, I don't think, or do I? It came through another form. Oh, there we are. Okay, good. Yes, I do have it. I just have to copy it and put it in and get the thing moved. So we copy that. We go to compose, pop that in there, and then we go add a newsletter to it. Because for me, this is just the way it's got to go. Now, where is that? That is on desktop at this point. So we go. There we are. Open that. Okay, this should solve that problem in a hurry. Don't mind me trying to get my hand to work. And here we go. This is what's called live. And the reality is my trying to type does actually require a whole lot more focus than I'd like. Okay. And Emmy, it is on its way. So if email works at all functionally, it should be in your whatchamacallit, in your inbox momentarily here. Now let's just add that to make sure that I've got it. There we go. Sam, how you doing? Glad you could join us. What do we got here? Whoop, I'm on the wrong page. Okay, that should solve that. Now let's get back to the sheet that I can actually read. Okay, there we have it. Yeah, the nice part about it. Oh, are we up? That would be nice. Let's hit refresh. The reality of it from my standpoint is this. As I build my empire, okay, I intend on taking as many people with me as I can possibly pull off. What I'm not going to do is I won't put a board of directors in. And I've been asked, well, what happens when the company gets too big? You hire more people. It's that simple. I'm not into the whole idea, and maybe this is counterproductive. And I don't hold it against anybody that does that. Okay. But I'm not looking at this from a let's see how many tax breaks I can get, or let's see how much of a break I can get with things. That's not a problem at all there, Derek. Presumably, you're referring to your health, which I'm certainly going to arrange part of that for you. The real trick to it, Derek, like Derek's going, I really need some prayers right now. One of the big things that we've got to look at here is asking, that one, unfortunately, Derek, being an outcast, yes, it's a pain in the neck. Okay, the unfortunate part is what you may find is you're thinking on levels that they can't even begin to comprehend. Okay. In a lot of ways, my own family looks at me the same way. The one trick to realize when you're dealing with family that doesn't get along with you is understand they are where they are, and all the wishes in the world, they've still got to make the choice to change their perspective. All you can do is understand where they're coming from. If they don't like, and I'm sure Nathan will understand this one, if they don't understand quantum mechanics, talking to them about quantum mechanics doesn't work. I've talked to people about religion before, and one thing that gets me hung up. Oh, Joe, there are some people who tell you a male witch is just simply a witch that is male. When I was in that field, and we're talking 400 years ago, okay, I was a warlock. A male witch working for the government was called a warlock. Okay, which meant that when I used my abilities on behalf of the government to determine which were the witches and which were who was practicing witchcraft and who wasn't. But before you jump on that, yes, I worked for the government. I absolutely did take advantage of what they were offering. The thing was, I didn't do what they wanted. Okay, I twisted like I usually do with the rules. I took the rules they gave me and twisted them all out of shape from the government standpoint. So what would happen? What a male witch does? Okay, I mean males that practice witchcraft or that employ witchcraft, in my personal perspective, are no different aside from obvious physical configuration. Okay, are no different than female witches. But the usual term for a male witch is a warlock. But understand, warlock was actually a derogatory term a lot of the time. Because you got to remember, most of the people charged with witchcraft were either midwives or herbalists, or maybe they were veterinarians. But what it was they were working and doing things that the church wasn't doing, or that the church wouldn't do because the people didn't say, oh, I'm going to believe in your God. Okay. Witches were people that turned to nature and simply did what was necessary to help the people around them. Okay. But with that in mind, I'm going to make a note of that because I actually know one of my good friends happens to be a coven leader. Where are we? Yeah, I wonder maybe I can get a quick pop on from her if she's online. Oh, won't be through there. So I need to go to, where is it? There. Get that out of my way so I can see what I'm looking at. And let's just see if she happens to be there. There. Don't know if I'll get an answer to this. But the lady that I know that she leads a coven. Okay. I'm just dropping her a question to get that answer for you. Oh, I just dropped that in. Glad to hear that, Joe. The idea here is, and I mean, I've learned a staggering amount from the people in this chat room. This is why I said, I know what we've got here is something special. You guys are phenomenally supportive, not only of me, which I do really appreciate, but of each other. So I'm just doing this. There we go. Now, I will tell you this. If I don't have the answer today, I will certainly have it within the next day or two. And in any event, Joe, I will get it to you ASAP. You know, something I will tell you is the more we focus on, here's a neat little thing, and Nathan will love this part. When we are all concentrating on the same thing, we don't have to be in the same room. Okay. When more than one person is concentrating on the same thing, we start shifting the energy to make that a possibility. Problem is that we're looking at, think of it this way. There are, according to the stats that I'm looking at, we have right now 8 people in the room. That is only one billionth of the number that are in existence. Okay, and we're up against that kind of a backwards tidal flow. Oh, I've got it's funny. I've got friends in really weird places. you know, but this is the thing. I do appreciate that, Joe. The reality is I don't discriminate from one person to the next. You know, if people are decent, I treat them decently. If people are not decent, I tend to avoid them. Okay. I mean, I was talking to somebody very devout in their religious belief, and they made a comment that I had to ask. I had to ask them 2 questions. Okay, and this is where the whole conversation comes to a grinding halt. Okay, I asked the guy. I says, in your belief, did God create everything? The guy goes, absolutely yes. This is good. We're on the same page. Because, I mean, let's understand, I'm a firm believer in God and Yeshua, probably more so than most people. But I asked him the second question. Did God create evil? And literally, invariably, I have had people come back. Oh, perfect. Thank you, Emmy. I appreciate the confirmation. You know, almost invariably, when I ask a Christian, did God create evil? Almost invariably, I get told, no, God wouldn't create evil. And I look at it in a very logical fashion because that's where my discussion with them ends. Because if God created everything, God had to create evil because evil is part of everything. Okay, and that's just the way that happens. But it's like I told him, we're going to have to agree to disagree. But because he kept pushing, he wanted me to go to his church. I'm like, not going to happen. There is no functional reason for me to go. For why I sin, not because I don't believe in God, but because of the fact that I do. I just don't believe in discrimination, which is what is being taught. Now, again, this is my opinion, but do understand, everything I say is my opinion. Okay. And what killed a friendship of mine, almost a decade ago now, okay, what killed the friendship was the fact that they claimed that my opinion was wrong. Nobody can have a wrong opinion. Okay, it's just not possible. The facts you draw your opinion from may be wrong. You may have drawn erroneous conclusions, but your opinion itself cannot be wrong. That's why they call it opinion. But what I'm looking at is this. I've got a newsletter that I do desire to grow to a magazine size. What I don't know is how big that actually looks. Okay. That's the one thing I do not know. But as I said, and this really applies to you, Emmy, the fact that I sent you an email, all that means, from my standpoint, actually, it means I better do this. I go into this. And there we are. and we pull out your address card. Okay, so I can put your email in here. Now it boils down to I'll be able to make sure that you get it properly on time. Because much as I will send it out on time, it doesn't obviously always get there. But, and no, I'm not about to. I mean, I know that goes there. I know that email that I've got for you does work, which works out beautifully. Where are we here? Not J. There we go. Okay. And that's how hard it is for me to update a database. And again, guys, if you desire the newsletter, it is never going to cost money. I just won't do it. If you desire it by email, I just simply need an email address. If you desire it by hard copy, by surface mail or airmail for that matter, I need a physical mailing address for it to get to. Well, I didn't say, no, the thing is, Hammy, God didn't say this angel will go and become evil. What God did was go, here's evil, and therefore there is a potential that somebody will jump on that. God didn't tell anybody who. But the bigger thing you got to realize is Satan wasn't sent. And there is another definition for the word sent. Way back, or cast rather, way back when Satan was cast out of heaven. He wasn't cast as in thrown out. The term cast at the time meant sent. And yes, we all have free will. You absolutely have free will to do what you will with the information you get. It's just my personal recommendation that if you can stand up and say honestly, and announce to people, the appropriate people, yes, I did this. Okay, then absolutely go and do it. But if you find that you're trying to hide from people about what you did, okay, it's a good idea not to do it in the first place. That's just the reality of it. Now, am I going to go into any sort of major issue around the idea of over this stream? Will I tangle with government decisions, with religious decisions, that sort of thing? The answer is no. Okay. Will I talk about them face to face? Certainly. Okay, I'm still very much a firm believer in free will. But as we found out the other day, a few weeks back, I think it was a few weeks ago, we had somebody coming in here that was trying to post links when they weren't actually in a position to be able to do so. The reality is, even my moderators here, before they post a link, I get a quick little message, can I post this link? Okay, but this one individual was posting links in here and was warned several times, so he is the only person I have ever hidden in the stream. The only one. But I was in another site the other day and saw the same guy doing the same thing. So clearly, he's not paying attention to what he's being asked. Okay. And that's, from my standpoint, this is why I say there are rules that I do try and hold to. But the same applies for me. I won't go into somebody else's stream and post a link. Okay. I will certainly ask if I get around to that, or if I get offered to do so, I will certainly do it. But I'm a firm believer, very simply put, do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. Okay, what did I possibly write there? I have no idea what I wrote there. I love my handwriting on occasion. I swear I was a doctor this lifetime. Not last lifetime, but this one. You know, because the reality is, I get an idea in my head, I jot it down, and half the time I can't read my own handwriting. Nathan, how are we? Oh, absolutely. Most, and the, you know, Nathan is just saying so many people have trouble with the first one. True to yourself first. We're taught right from the time we're children. Yeah, I kind of figured you might be. And I do appreciate that, Nathan. Nathan's just saying he's still here. He's just back and forth. Odd thing, you get paid to be elsewhere. So I do appreciate you popping in when you've got the time. The thing with the first with the first karmic law, you must be true to you first. This means make certain what you're doing is something you believe in yourself. Okay, do not hang yourself out to dry in order to help other people. And don't get me wrong, sometimes that's necessary. Okay, my trip downtown today was to get a bus pass for somebody that, that didn't have the time to go. And did it put a lot of stress on me? Yeah. I mean, heck, leaving my house lately puts a lot of stress on me. Which begs the question of how I'm going to manage this trip in a few months. But what the heck? The nice part about it is the people that do figure it out do understand being true to yourself first does not mean being selfish. Okay? It does not mean being self-centered. It literally means centering on self. Make sure you're following your own boundaries, your own guidelines, and remaining true to you. Like for instance, I had a guy years ago, he come up to me and he goes, he says, how would you like to make $1,000? I said, with as little effort as possible. Right. He goes, well, if I give you $1,000, will you go and tell this person this thing? I looked at him and I knew he was asking me to lie to the person. I looked at the guy and I said, well, I'll take the $1,000. He goes, well, what about passing on the message? I said, I'm not going to lie to anybody for anything. Okay, it just isn't going to happen. He goes, but it's $1,000. I said, yeah, I told you I'll be happy to take the 1,000. He goes, why would I give you $1,000 if you're not willing to pass on this message? I said, I don't know, maybe you're a nice guy. Needless to say, for some reason, I didn't get the $1,000 handed to me. But my integrity is not up for sale. Okay, which is why when a Hollywood company came to me and goes, I'd like to tell your life story. I says, no problem, let's talk. So we bantered back and forth. And when they finally handed me the contract, I looked at them and I said, take your contract and go where you will. I'm not doing it. I'm not signing it. The guy goes, but you don't understand the money you're turning down. I said, I understand fully the money I'm turning down. What you're missing is how little I care about it. If I was really that interested in money, do you really think I'd have worked out a ratio where 80% of my net profit, meaning my own bills are covered first, then I look at the other money. Okay, if I was really overly concerned about money, I wouldn't be handing 80% of net profit back out to staff that I'm working with or customers. In this case, it'll be and/or, and that's and/or, not and/or. Although and/or would be a neat place to go. I do believe that and/or ultimately got filmed in the Rocky Mountains somewhere. In the rainforest. But that's another issue altogether. My forte is not Star Wars. Although I did get to see the whole series. Oh, by the way, speaking of real twisted sidetracks, I finally got to see the Dungeons and Dragons movie. It came out on Netflix, and as soon as I knew about it, I took the time out to see it. Yeah, pretty much. No. Murder bears are not. Murder bears are based on koala bears in Australia. No, those are drop bears. Sorry. Murder bears, maybe they are Ewoks. Hey, Philip, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Yeah, I'll be here for another hour yet. I'm presuming this means that you were a little on the tied up side. You know. Yeah, football. I really did. I didn't record it. Of course, in all honesty, I don't know how to record it, but I did get a kick out of the owl bear was well done. Although I tell you, it reminded me more of a panda bear with an attitude. Although they do too. Yeah, I got my window open. They've been really noisy today. This morning was insane. But no, they did a very nice job. The only thing, I could name things I saw that were a little bit quirky, but I did enjoy the movie. It was definitely well worth seeing. I undoubtedly would have liked to have seen it more, seen it at the movie theater. I just didn't get the opportunity. It didn't work out with my schedule. So, hence, this is where things went. Oh, I did that, so I don't have to do that now. So, what I'm looking at, and this is something that I will tell you, okay, where it comes to the books I've got, and I mean literally all of the books I've got, all eight I've got in print. Okay, I figured out where if any one of you figures you can move the books, I figured out how to actually do it. And I do have the paperwork drawn up that I'm happy where we can arrange something to make it happen. Okay. Because from my standpoint, it really boils down to a simple issue of making the effort to get it out there. Because I don't know about you, but I'm tired of relying on governmental paychecks. Well, let's face it. I'm waiting for a call to find out whether or not I got into a government program to help with the marketing side of things. But I'm pretty certain with your guys' help and the guidance I've been getting from you guys that that'll work out well anyway. I'm right now looking at different things I can get my fingers into to make a real solid change in this world and hopefully lead people by example to a better world. And I don't mean getting off this backwoods mud ball. Sorry, if you're human, you're likely stuck here. I know I asked to be taken off to get off the planet years ago. It worked. I was taken. The problem is they keep bringing me back. I didn't even know there was a UFO day there, Philip, but thank you very much. Phil goes, do you ever sing back to get them back and forth going? Oh, I talk to them all the time. I just don't whistle. Okay. But I don't speak English when I'm talking to them. It was funny because Phil's just asking. He goes, do you ever sing back to get a response to get a back and forth going? Oh, I didn't even know it existed. Of course, I think I missed July 2nd. But no, I talk to them anyway. It's the animals and the trees that I get my news from. This is how I figure out what's going on. Works out like a charm. My youngest son didn't believe that I speak to the animals until one day he saw it happening. Uh-oh. That sounds really bad there, football. Football's written here. It's raining fellas. And I'm like, okay, well, get out of the way because those are going to hurt if they land on you. Depends on how far they fall from. But thanks for the happy belated there, Philip. I do appreciate it. The nice part about things is I know for an absolute certainty that by pitching our efforts together, we can turn things around. This world does not have to continue going down the path of fear, of shortage, of lack. We don't have to buy into that. We do, however, have to take it into consideration. Like for instance, and talk about city planning at its ultimate. Everybody, they're pushing for people to use the buses more around here. So what do? They closed all but 2 of the bus ticket outlets. Now, why in tarnation they closed them without warning people, I don't know. But was it ever a pain in the neck getting it organized? I'm just curious because I can't read it from here and I don't recall. Oh, yes. Something you cannot read, I'm certain of it, is that picture on my over my left shoulder here. Okay, that one right there says inspiration. What do we got here? Nathan goes, really? I gave up on saving society. I'm more worried about my neighborhood. Society wants to be panicked and fearful. And this is something that a lot of people have told me. Don't worry so much about society. I've watched society collapse multiple times over the years. And they're still doing the same thing they did. The reality of it from my standpoint is the reason I worry about it or that I pay attention to it at all is because I can feel the degradation. I can feel the decay and call it self-serving. But if I can slow it down and I can lessen that feel that I'm getting, because I don't just get it off the people around me. I get it off the plants and off the animals and off each ourselves. Okay. That's where my issue comes. Okay. But I understand wholeheartedly. I mean, I fight with the idea of why bother? And that was literally one of the reasons why I was questioning about a year ago whether to continue on with this stream at all, was because I wasn't seeing an impact in society. And when I look at it now, the odds of it having a solid impact yet, not good. We've got 9 people in the room, which is barely over 1%. Not 1%, but 1/1000th of a percent. 9 out of 9 billion. Out of 8 billion, rather. No, that's 8 divided by 8. Yeah, sorry, I don't do to the power of. Not in my head, anyway. Philip goes, I thought of you recently when watching UFO podcast on UFO. Someone mentioned a place in Colorado where they give away land to any tradition who wants to set up a healing center there. Oh. I don't know how they spell it. I found, the spelling of the word center, for me personally, and maybe this is because I live in too many different worlds, I didn't realize that they do that down in Colorado. I will be building a healing center, but it's going to take a while to get there. For me personally, where it comes to the word center, when I'm talking about a building, I personally spell it RE. When I'm talking about it being the location, as in the center of something, I spell it ER. That way I know the difference. I got a kick out of it. I saw something, I was actually appalled by it. I saw somebody, my son showed me somebody on YouTube that literally said the only language that should be spoken is Americanish. Because it's the only language people need to speak. And apparently Americans don't have an accent, just for you guys in the States. The people down south don't have an accent that's any different than the people up north. Now, I don't know about you. I'm not good at picking up accents. mind you, the same genius did come to the conclusion that it's not bad enough we have land shortages, oil shortages, food shortages, and all these things are running out. This same genius came to the brilliant conclusion that we are running out of gravity. Now, this is somebody that is, and she admitted herself, she quit going to school because she already was educated. I'm like, I don't know, maybe I'm missing something here. But it's people like this that just completely drive me up the wall. I'm not surprised by that at all there, Philip. Philip's just saying the farther east you go, the greater the number of different English accents. I really don't know if she believed it was flat. I know I took a look at the whole flat earth thing and went, it's, I've seen what it looks like. Never mind what science says. And ultimately, it's not round either, but I still prefer the idea of it being round. It's so much easier to draw it. If you try and draw it the way it actually looks, it's a little bit different. Okay, and you got to remember, a lot of the video that is taken, they have it gets sorted around in different fashion. There, I can figure. Either that or it's just I'm sensing something a little bit more twisted. Oh, that is just terrible, Philip. I have done them years and years ago when I was drinking heavily. There were a couple of times when I fell up the stairs, and that was painful. Of course, in all fairness, falling up the stairs and falling down the stairs, either way, it's going to hurt. But I am a firm believer that when you're falling, if you fall off a balcony or whatever, the fall itself doesn't actually hurt. Pretty much the fall is fine. The unfortunate part is it's that sudden stop at the bottom that really causes the problem. But no, if you guys have an idea, if you've got, like, Joe is fantastic. Joe, you're absolutely fantastic with coming up with ideas for starting point and starting topics. You're absolutely brilliant at it. And I'm a firm believer in giving people credit where credit is due. But I am looking at things to enhance the newsletter, in order to get things moving forward, in order to help guide people to a better world. And I don't mean off this planet. This idea of colonizing another planet because of the fact we're out of room. Number one, we're not out of room. Number two, people aren't straightening things out. Oh, and here's an answer to that question, coming back from the last that I know that is actually running a coven. She goes, regarding what do you call a male witch? And what she has come back with is, well, there can be many names. Most just like to be called a witch. And she's adding more here that I will pass on to you as it comes up. But the way I figure it is this. What people get called, I get called all sorts of things. And as I've told people, I've been called so many things, some of which are actually that are actually out, and then we'll try English here. I've been called so many things that are just phenomenal. Okay. And here we have this same coven leader says there is also warlock and mage. Okay. Philip's going, I saw your notification. I was writing to ask a question to an author who has a book out on incident in Canada with underwater UFOs and strange creatures that look like the Greys. Not surprising. When you think about it, There are, that I've seen, 15 different configurations and different colors of gray of the Zeta Reticulans, or of descendants of theirs. Okay, and he's just saying in the Canadian and the United States military, going all the way to Defense Condition 1. When people start actually realizing that war is not going to bring peace ever, okay, it never does. It brings quiet, but it never brings peace. Just laying this last. No. I just thank the coven leader for the information. But no, the reality is, if we desire this world to make a better impact, to shift gears, there's a lot of magazines, a lot of news agencies, and what have you, that are very quick to go. They're very quick to go. Here's all the negative things going on. Okay, and I'm telling you, most people in most countries are decent people, and I'm quite willing to go as far as to say 90 to 95% of people are decent people. Now, Philip has asked, can someone be a warlock without knowing he's a warlock? Okay, number one, they can absolutely have access and have an impact on the energy patterns. Okay, without knowing why, and without even knowing they're the cause. The same thing can happen. Some poltergeistic activity happens because people end up tapping into energy and broadcasting it. Also, in D&D terms, it's also known as wild magic. Okay, in other words, it happens because somebody thinks about it. But do people have the ability and just not know it? Absolutely. It's very much like empaths don't always know they're empaths. Okay, and many parents go through that, trying to figure out, why is this kid so wound up all the time? And when I get talking to them, I find out they keep taking them to places with crowds. And the crowds for an empath are almost impossible to deal with. There was a new restaurant in town here, and I walked into it because I wanted to see whether or not I could cope with it. I walked in there. The place was packed. I managed to stand for about 3 minutes, maybe 5, in line, and then finally said, no, I can't deal with it. I'm going home. Fortunately, in that regard, it actually saved me a little bit of money. But, the reality is, people absolutely have these abilities and don't realize it. And it can be a real struggle to adjust to it as it develops. Especially if you've got nobody that's able and or willing to point you in the right direction. That clarification there, Nathan, I would agree. For me, like I said, when I was in that field, I was listed as a warlock, a witch that worked for the government. That was by choice. Okay, but I worked for the government for a different reason. Yeah, the funny thing is, a water witch is not a witch. A water witch senses elemental flow. Yeah, I bet that drove you right up the wall for the first 40 years of your life, eh, Emmy? No, you're very right. Mind you, if you can build a skyscraper out of sand, I'm going to give you kudos anyway. My dad used to walk along. He'd walk out in the middle of the field and he'd stop in the middle of a field with no indicators and go, we're digging right here. I've done it myself on the far side of the country. I was here in Kelowna and did it for a lady trying to drop a well over in Newfoundland somewhere. I forget whereabouts it was, but I remember the event very well. The thing is, everybody has the abilities, but people don't necessarily put a label on them because they may not know what it is. Okay. Poltergeistic activity sometimes is caused by a psychokinetics, a person that instinctively uses mind over matter. Okay. Yeah. Nathan's going, yeah, he just recently discovered this whole 9 yards just a few years back. I just, for me, it's just that this is a normal way of life. It's just something it just happens. And it's always been that way. Here we are. Philip goes, I never thought of it as supernatural or extraordinary. Just a human who's in a body that can connect to plants to point the way to wild plants, to plants' roots to find water. Essentially correct. See, here's the thing. Okay, I heard a term much more effective in my eyes. Okay, decades ago, it was proposed to me that we not call people like us psychic. We call us sensitives or super sensitives, because literally what we do is we are sensitive to other energy patterns that the general populace doesn't pick up on. Either they don't believe in it and therefore shut it down. But that funny little idea, seeing is believing, that is almost 100% backwards. Okay, believing is seeing. If you don't believe it's possible, you're not going to see it. Okay, your mind will simply work its way around it. Yeah. Oh, that's okay, Nathan. I think we'll just call you blonde and be done with it. And that was rude. No. No, Nathan's saying all kinds of things happened throughout my life. Never knew what was going on. I stayed confused and bewildered a lot. Yeah. In all fairness, it took me a long time to get a handle on it because I didn't have anybody. My dad and my mom always told me, keep what I do quiet, which was really kind of odd when you realize they're the ones that gave me my first deck of tarot cards. Like, that backfired in a big way. Okay. What do we got here? Here we are. Joe's going, I saw a while back driving with my mom to get dinner, driving past the cemetery, in daytime evening, two women getting into their truck. They were wearing black long skirts and pointy boots. The real deal. Yeah, and do understand something, especially at least from what I've seen. You're positive, you can call them white witches if you will. Cemeteries still hold a staggering amount of energy capable of bridging the gap. Yeah. Don't worry, Philip, you get used to it. I spend most of my days I spend confused. The rest of it, I just don't know what's going on. But it's funny. I used to tell people I've got a memory that's about that long for names. And I mentioned this to one young lass. She looks at me and she goes, Keith, it's a good thing you don't remember people's names. I looked at her and I said, why? Because I find it frustrating personally. She goes, well, think about it. You get to meet so many new people. I looked at her and went, I never thought of it that way. But when I'm looking at what I'm looking at, when I pay attention to what I'm looking at building here, the idea is to find people and to draw people into the light where they can see the world in a different way and realize that this cacophony that we are being bombarded with, as in let's keep the people stupid. As in, don't teach them anything. I was told all the time I was growing up, my parents and the whole generation said, don't show the kids how your finances are going. And I'm thinking, if they'd have taken the time to really sit down with me and force the issue, I wouldn't be in the state I'm in now. Or more to the point, I wouldn't have been in the state I was then. Philip, I will tell you this. I understand that issue. The trick to making a big decision is to look at the smaller ones. Okay? Because every big decision is made based on a smaller decision. Ultimately, when you really break it down. This is why I use this idea of the list. Okay? And no, I don't expect you to read it. But as you can see, I've got a whole bunch of things that are on that. When I get off here, then I've got a bunch of things I've got to deal with. And what you will find over the next little while, okay, because I'll go down, tomorrow's Tuesday, so I'll go down and order the two backs of the books to bring them home and get them up and running. I might have all three, but the third one would be a spoiler, if you will. Because when you look at the Yldrbac Chronicles, I've got 12 books that are coming out. But when you look at them, you get you've got 4 trilogies set one on top of the other. Okay. And as the books come out, all 12 of those pictures come together to paint one picture. Okay. I've already got the picture completely designed. What do I got here? Yeah, I'm going to be up a while tonight, obviously. Yeah, so it's going to be a long night, I think. Which is really bad when you think about it in some ways, since I got up at 3:30 this morning? Yeah. I went to bed at 1 o'clock and was back up at 3:30 this morning. Which is, probably not a great thing. But, for somebody that the doctors are saying, look, you got to slow down, your heart's in trouble, et cetera, you'd think I'd be actually sleeping a little more. That depends on your definition of right. Okay. Will I eventually look to somebody to put them out? The answer is yes. But the catch to it is I will have my hands in the cookie jar. I am not a videographer. I don't know the first thing about it except for you got to stand in front of the camera in order to get the picture taken. But what I won't let happen is somebody tell the story and completely butcher the story. I'm just, this idea of creative license, I'm a little, call me a control freak, if you will. But I was approached before. I've already been approached by two different people to turn my trilogy and my books into a movie. And like I told them, I won't even look at it until I've got the third one out. And that's one of the things I'm really pushing on right now. I ran into a major roadblock, ran into an obstacle where I started editing the book before it was finished. And this proved to be a disaster. Okay. Proved to be an absolute unmitigated disaster. So, will I eventually look to turn it into a movie? Certainly. Will I turn the rights over? Not a prayer. And of course, they're going to come to me and go, well, that's not the way the industry works. Yeah. Philip goes, also, you have to say, all quiet on the set, take 42, action. Skip to Menlu, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Will I eventually get a movie put out for it? Certainly. Will I turn over complete rights? Not a snowball's prayer. Okay. It's just not going to happen that way. I've already been shafted once, which is why I'm not set up on Amazon right now, because a company that I trusted absolutely shafted me, and now I don't know how to deal with it. So I'm going to end up going to get a copyright lawyer to make certain everything goes the right direction. And that dream meetings, I mean, there's a lot, as far as a future topic, certainly. Now, am I going to, that being said, I'll get that marked down here, because football is going, what about dream meetings as a future topic? Where am I sitting here? Where is paranormal here? That's open. I believe that's on Friday. Yeah. Okay. Just writing it down here is all. Okay. Where are we here? Football is asked, what about dream meetings as a future topic? Okay, I will certainly take a look at that. I will tell you, we won't be going through a list and going, if you dream about a ladder, this is what it means. Okay, because dreams, yes, the individual symbology does matter, and we will look at some of that. Okay, but the big issue is if you've been having a dream and something, and we will talk about the way of using dreams, to get there and what have you, but we will deal with that on Friday. Because as per a discussion we had here the other day, just about a week ago, I think, Fridays we are going to deal with the paranormal, with the tools of the psychic world, that sort of thing. Okay, and dreams fit in right into that, but I'll look at things like astrology, tarot, cartomancy, these different things. But dream interpretation and the pros and cons of what we call lucid dreaming, we will absolutely look at. Yeah, Philip goes, I know a contract lawyer who I met online, who I would trust. I need a lawyer in New York City or New Jersey. In my case, I have me in Canada. Which I may eventually, I will eventually have to deal with a United States lawyer as well. What have we got here? One of these neat little things where, like I said, there are certain people that I have to deal with and let they give a response just because of the time. Where are we here? Here we are. Skip to Malou goes, I have to share this info. We had a heat wave, so no midsummer night bonfire. No witches burned this year. Oops. A part has suggested that we ban witches on the. Okay. Yeah, deleting history is not a real brilliant idea. There are so many people that are trying to do that. If we destroy these if we destroy these monuments, if we destroy if you think about it, the pagan religion and the witches in particular have been trying to remove, they've been trying to remove them from society for a time almost immemorial. The sad part is that's a part of history. Obviously, I do not cotton to the idea of physically burning witches on on a fire or anywhere else. I'm also a firm believer that prejudice across the board is a wasted energy. But deleting history and telling people, the Black Death didn't occur, or, there was no Holocaust. No, sad to say, people, these bad things did happen. The question is how you're portraying them now. Ultimately, Skip to Malou, you're absolutely correct. And this is the thing I'm talking about. We've got to get more people, and this is why I would like to see more people in here, is because of the fact we've got billions upon billions of people listening to the negative rhetoric, listening to, oh, we can't, we've got to be politically correct so we don't upset somebody. Okay, the human species is solidly connected. You're all linked together, whether you like it or not, whether you relate to it or not, doesn't matter. Okay, and I get myself into trouble. Somebody told me, like I mentioned, I said something to them, and they said, "Oh, I don't relate to being called a female." I looked at her and I went, "I care why." From my standpoint, it's very simple. Yes, I'm absolutely opinionated. I absolutely am. But am I going to tangle with certain things? No, I will simply look at it and go, I'm not going there. You can believe what you will, but this doesn't mean I'm going to work with it. This is what I mean by you've got to remain true to yourself first. Yeah, Philip goes, my top 5 historical irritations are all destructions of great libraries and or universities. They've often been in the same place. Quite often they have. The problem is, Skip to Malou, it really is, it's one of those talents. And it's one that has taken me 60 years to figure out how to do. It comes with stubborn disposition, and that one I think you got down to a fine art there, Skip. Is when you can bring yourself to go, this is what I relate to. You desire to talk to me. Great, be my guest. I'll talk to you. I'll treat you decently. Like the chat that came in here and was complaining because he kept pushing for an answer to a question. I was very cut and dried. I'm not giving an answer until I get the direct go-ahead to do so. And his comment was immediately, he turns around and he goes, well, it's not like we're going to track the person down. I said, it's got nothing to do with what you're doing. It has to do with my boundaries. And my boundary says, I don't do this. It's the same as I'm not going to turn around and go, that religion is better than that one. Okay. Or that political party is better than that political party. Because I'll tell you, where it comes to politics, and do your own research. In the United States, you've got the Republicans and the Democrats, and they've got their own platforms. But do yourself a favor. Look back to the platforms they held in the 1950s, and you'll find they have the Republicans believed what the Democrats did then, and the Democrats today believe what the Republicans did then. Now, this is what I found out. Go and do your own research. Oh, Philip, sometimes that happens. Yeah. Skip to Malou goes, no religion or party is best. Follow the money. Look at the media sites. Who supports who? Yeah, ultimately, this is correct. Now this is saying, there's a lot that can be looked up online at this point. And yes, we can say that the internet is full of misinformation. It absolutely is. So is virtually every person I've ever met. But, and this is why I tell you, if you ask me a question, I will be absolutely honest with you. I may not tell you what you want to hear, but I'm not going to lie to you to make you feel better unless you ask me to. Yeah, Phil goes, sometimes I ask myself, why am I so obsessed with this? Depends on what it is. Sometimes you'll be obsessed with somebody and something because you're afraid of it. Okay, because you're afraid of the change that's coming. Now, this is a carryover from what society has done. Humans have been taught on the whole, and by the way, virtually every civilization I've looked at has the same problem. Humans have been taught for time immemorial: fear that which you do not understand. That which you fear, strive to control. That which you cannot control, strive to destroy. And that which you cannot destroy, fear. Okay, to my way of looking at this is counterproductive. Now, the biggest problem I run into is trying to find somebody that will simply accept the way I am. Okay, that was what took me what created some of my problems. But my current other half is fantastic in as much as she looks at the way I do things and goes, okay, that's just you. But she has trouble with it because of the fact in the modern world, I am, shall we say, a bit abnormal. Okay, that's just the reality of it. This is why the third karmic law is energy out, energy in. What you put out is what you're going to draw back. It doesn't guarantee that everything's going to go perfect for you. What it does do is stack the deck in your favor. Well, I don't know. Sharks have this funny little thing. They've got this absolutely indiscriminate issue. You notice if you fall in the water and a shark comes after you, the shark doesn't stop to ask you, oh, who did you vote for? Because I'm just trying to get my diet right. Or, which god do you believe in? They just don't care. Okay, yes, sharks do have their own belief and their own higher power. They refer to her as Yldrbac, and they are a Terran fish, as in they evolved here. Now, there are other places where there are other animals that can be qualified as sharks. Okay. The neat part about it is some of these, and all of the, okay, maybe I should think that through first. Oh, close. And my pronunciation is pretty pathetic on occasion. Whoops. I didn't have that set where I needed it. I do not need that there. Thank you very much. Where did my tag go? Let's remove that. No, you wouldn't have. This is the name that I gave. Mouse isn't working as well as I'd like. Her name is Yldrbac, but that's what she told me. See, the planet we stand on, most people refer to it as Mother Nature, Earth, or Gaia. Okay, but understand, Earth herself is a Kaboran. Okay, she in and of herself is a living organism with a whole pile of denizens on top of and within her. Okay. So, and that was the name she gave me. Which, I'm standing there going, okay, I can work with it. Because for me, somebody's name is just a label to be able to identify them as an individual. There's quite often I end up talking to people, I have no idea who they are, right? And I'll carry on, talk to them honestly, because I don't know any better. I've been told often, don't tell people, don't be so open with people. Well, I won't be open with people if they don't ask a question, but there are certain questions I won't answer. Ultimately, Philip, that's a good way to put it. Okay, that really, and Philip just says, wouldn't that make us highly evolved headlights? Essentially, yes. Humans are the caretakers of the earth. And the reason we hold that position is because a caretaker for a planet is referred to as the most technologically advanced surface-dwelling sentient entity, sentient race. Humans are the most technologically advanced. Oh, I absolutely agree with you, Emmy. Sharks are a fantastic race. They are a fantastic fish, beautiful interactions. And rest assured, they are not just brutal machines. They have a very definitive family dynamic. You know, but I still wouldn't go swimming with them. Of course, in all fairness, I wouldn't go swimming with goldfish right now. The reality of it is we have to realize, and I mean, when I say we, people in general, Skip and Lou goes, heard of pet sharks? Some people have pet sharks. And like I said, they're fabulous and they're fabulous animals. Tell you what, if you're looking for that, Philip, and I forget where they are, but I believe it's in Africa somewhere, there is something called a yellow shark. Very docile, they're river dwellers. Okay, very docile. Well, you can, but you got to stay in the water and you got to keep them moving. So it's a bit of a hiccup. But yellow sharks are some of the most passive animals. Do not go swimming with hammerheads. Those guys will bite you just because you're going by. Well, it makes sense. I mean, if you think about it, football goes, I heard gnomes eat koi out of ponds. That would make sense. I mean, let's face it. A gnome is not going down to the ocean to fish. They need something a little bit smaller. But, any animal, the only thing you got to remember is some animals are domesticated, some animals tolerate us, and wild animals, whether you're nice to them or not, they are wild animals. Like we had a raccoon show up here the other day. Well, about a year and a half ago now. Right? Showed up and the little guy just wanted to be picked up. There is no way I was going to pick him up. And I told him as much. I said, it's not going to happen. Right? Because they are still wild animals. And they have to be treated with proper respect. Okay, in other words, don't put yourself, like you don't walk up behind a grizzly bear that's eating berries and kick it in the caboose. Because it will turn around and eat you. Oh, there we go. Derek's just saying fireworks are popping off right and left. Well, left and right. I wonder if there's any fireworks going off in the middle at this point. But, fireworks are a wonderful thing to see. I enjoyed them when I was a kid. Now I have to leave the house to see them, and that becomes a bit of a problem. Derek goes, my neighbor is shooting mortars. Yeah, well, that was like Halloween year. No, it was a New Year's. When, everybody was firing, this would be 30 years back. Everybody in the neighborhood was firing off fireworks. We were setting off pipe bombs. They made a bigger bang. Oh, Skip to Malou goes, Keith, what's your opinion about the sub-accident? I wonder how the fragments are so big and body pieces found. Shouldn't they and the craft have been in shattered pieces from inside? No. Well, ultimately what happens when something overcompresses like that, now we got to understand, first of all, the sub itself, from what I gather, was 15 years old and therefore was already overstressed. But when it imploded, first of all, the submarine pulled in on itself in a real hurry. As soon as it started to buckle, it just all of a sudden collapsed. Okay, but you gotta remember, when it collapsed, right there, it crushed everything, people included. Okay, so you turn around and it crushed first of all, but when it crushed, it trapped a bunch of air inside at the same time. And then the second part happens, where it blows apart. and you'll get some bigger pieces, some smaller pieces, but the people that were there will be taken out by the animal, by the marine life that's there. Philip's going, why do the grays that live in the ocean seem to not want us to know that they're there? Why tell us that they're visiting from another star system if they're in the Earth's oceans? Well, first and foremost, okay, I'll come back to that. The thing with that accident was terrible. The lives lost, absolutely, and I'm not even going to begin to speculate on the ramifications of the link between them. All I can tell you is that the fact that it came apart is not. It's a terrible loss for the people that died, or more to the point, for the people that were left behind. But is it unexpected given what was being done? No. Now, Philip, as for why do the grays that live in the ocean seem to not want us to know they're there? Okay, first and foremost, what do you think? What has happened with every single society that mankind has uncovered? Okay, every one of the ones that until mankind found them weren't, how do we put this? Every single society that mankind has come across, right, that did not live up to mankind's current standards, they have eradicated. Okay. They've completely eradicated them. Well, the grays, yeah, they aren't from Earth, although some of them are now born on Earth. Okay. But they are not from here. And modern society is still hooked on this idea that there isn't, the majority of people, by the way, now at least acknowledge the fact that there are off-worlders. Okay. Or that there are things out there that may be sentient. But society, its superstructure, is still built on the idea that we are the ones that are here. Okay. And there's still, the grays that do live here. And there are other races living here that are not human anymore, by the way. Well, they never were. Okay, what do we got here? The unfortunate part, from my standpoint, is that there is no question we have people living here that did not come from here, that were never born, and that the race never originated here. But there's a lot of races that are here that mankind doesn't even know about right now. Okay. Because, well, quite frankly, they're still locked in this idea. It doesn't happen. And Derek is just going, happy early 4th of July to all those in chat and those in chat who aren't talking. And absolutely, from my standpoint, happy 4th of July to everybody that's out there. Okay. And those that are celebrating, just keep one thing in mind. Celebrate it safely. Okay, I cannot stress that enough. Not my eyes, anyway. But with all of this in mind, okay, we are hitting the 2-hour mark. That said, you can hear my voice starting to kick. With that in mind, thank you so much for sharing your time with me. I really do appreciate it. And we will be back tomorrow. We are going to be dealing with, what do we got? Tomorrow we are going to be dealing with the Sarkon. Okay, with the aliens, with what you know as Alpha Draconis. Okay. But their actual race name, from what I've gathered, is Sarkon. And we will be discussing them and other reptilians and what have you tomorrow night. Okay. I'll have all that laid out. If I could figure out how to put a picture up, I would. And I might be able to track that down before then. I'm an absolute idiot on occasion. How can I put the picture up? I've got a printer that works right here that I've just put new ink into. So yes, tomorrow when we look at the Sarkon, I will have a picture that will be in the second printing of Races of the Worlds. Okay, but we will deal with that tomorrow. That being said, we're hitting the 2-hour mark here. So until we meet again, do take care of yourselves and each other. And for pity's sakes, stay positive.